Hi, welcome to Booktopia TV. My name's Andrew Cattanach and I'm joined today in a game of Test match cricket by one of Australia's Test cricket greats and now best-selling author, Ricky Ponting. Ricky, thanks for joining me.
How you going?
Very well. Now I'll be better when I get my first overthrow.
This is your home ground though, right?
This is it,
so
that's right.
Any special rules I need to know about, being your backyard as such?
Look, I'd say you want to stay away from the slips. I just think your weakness just coming through after signing 1,000 copies.
Yeah, that was with this hand. I'm going to do the batting with this hand with a bit of luck.
If you want to play high leading arm, that's fine.
Just so the fans out there can see as well. See where he's got the crease of the table, see the joint of the table?
Now that's erroneous, I can tell you right now.
Down the middle of the pitch.
Ricky actually put this here.
He's had this set up for a couple of weeks waiting for me to come in.
Okay.
So here we go.
You ready?
What? Jesus.
That's right, we'll call it dead ball there.
Is this under 12s or what are we playing here?
Here we go.
No, I shouldn't speak too soon, should I? What?
Oh, we're all right.
Yeah, all right. It's all right. I'm off the mark anyway.
So did you have the game Test match cricket when you were growing up, Ricky?
I did, but it seemed to be a slightly simpler version than this one.
Possibly slightly better bowlers that were coming at you.
Yeah, little ball bearings coming down. Oh, there we go.
Oh, just missed down the leg.
Outside leg there a little.
So you played a lot of sports when you were a kid. Obviously you had footy, cricket, golf, greyhounds.
Yeah, I didn't play greyhounds, but...
Well, you had a lot of interest when you were a kid.
Yeah, no, I did. It was just always... Growing up in Tassie, it was just cricket and footy, so cricket in the summertime and... Well, I think I got some bad on that. Yeah, so cricket in the summer and footy in the winter, and...
Yep.
Golf was something I didn't sort of play until a little bit later, but it was always like a school.
Oh, I
snuck it through the gap. Yeah, your slip skills are not too good. You're moving a bit like Watto there.
And you always wanted to play, I guess one of the first aims was to play in your local side.
Yeah, hang on, you're asking questions and bowling at the same time.
Look, I'm in my delivery strike, this is going to happen. So.
Well,
oh, he's gone.
Was that off my bat or my toe?
I think we might have to go back to that.
Yeah,
Was it off the toe?
Okay, I'll walk. I'm one down. I'm an honest
You can go back in.
I'm an honest bloke. So, sorry, what was your last question?
Well, you always wanted to play, obviously, in your local side and then build up. You made your first class debut when you were 17. What was it like being teammates of guys that were twice your age and trying to interact with men when you were still sort of a boy?
Yeah, I guess that was something that I just had to get used to pretty quickly because I was sort of playing A-grade cricket when I was 12 and 13 years old, but even before that I'd been around the club and been training with men and learning the game pretty quickly. All young kids out there, I'd encourage them to do it. I'd encourage them to try and play at the highest level that they possibly can, even if it means that they're batting at 7 or 8 and not getting much of a bat, just to be around the older guys. I just think you learn so much faster. So that was my sort of upbringing, at a really working man sort of club in Launceston, and as I said, playing with the men at sort of 12 and 13 years old, and I learned a lot about the game on the field, and learnt lots of things that I probably shouldn't have learned off the field as well, but that was all part of growing up.
Yeah, oh, that's great. Well, next up, by the way, Ricky's one. So
one down. How many have I got?
Oh,
no, that did not hit the stumps.
I think it might be a little bit there.
No, hit the keepers.
So Rod Marshall honoured you as really the next great Australian batsman. What was it like to go in with that sort of pressure? Through your first class career, I guess it was easier being mentored by the older guys on the Tasmanian side, and David Byrne obviously, but was that difficult coming through the system with that sort of rap?
Yeah, well, I had a lot of pressure on me at a younger age than actually. My grandmother actually made me a t-shirt that said inside this shirt is a future Australian cricketer, and I was wearing that around the backyard when I was about 5 or 6 years old, so I had pressure on from a really young age. But look, with the stuff at the academy, it was really good to hear something like that from someone like Rod Marsh, but I heard it, but it never really sunk in. It was just, I was there trying to make myself better and improve and be the best cricketer I could be, and I guess it wasn't until a bit later in life when I started playing a bit of Shield cricket, first and second, third season of Shield cricket, where a bit more of that pressure was sort of... I actually learned what the pressure was. Before that, I didn't really know about it. I was just out there playing and enjoying the game. So, but even with that, I think to have to cope with that sort of pressure at a young age made me ready for stuff that was going to come my way down the track. Yeah,
and in your book, from the opening pages, you talk about your routine. And it's obvious that so much of your career is deliberate and just such heavy focus that you put into your career. When did the routine start?
It's actually a good question. I probably can't put my finger on exactly when it did start, but it was pre-season one year, and when I had an extended break and when I started training again, I wanted to make sure I had sort of a checklist of things that I knew I had to do right at the start of the season, so I could sort of speed up just how long it took me to get back into the swing of things. So, some of the stuff you've read about my routines and the checklist I would do at night before I batted, that was a lot of that stuff sort of started in pre-season training. I wasn't ever that strict on you know, how much sleep I had to have or what I ate the night before a game or anything like that. But once it was at the ground and certainly the night before anyway, when I was going to sleep, it was important that I had the mental side of things ticked off, because the physical side of training in cricket is very false. Everything you do in the nets is so different than what you do in the middle that I was never ever too worried about my net form or how many times I got out or how I hit him in the nets. It was all about getting the mental side of things right the night before and then giving myself the best chance to bat well the next day.
Yeah, and in a team environment, coming into the Australian side, and I'll probably fast forward a little bit, I'd probably look at 2001 as the moment on that Ashes tour when, after a pretty slim Indian tour, Australia, obviously the big streak came to an end in wins, and you're asked to move up to number 3 to replace your great mate Justin Langer.
Yep.
Is it difficult, not just in a team environment, but a touring squad environment, to have that sort of dynamic of sort of wanting to succeed, but at the same time probably being tough at the expense of teammates and friends?
Yeah, it is, but I've always looked at it, and certainly when I was the captain of the side as well, and a more senior player of the side, I've always looked at it as it's the job of the guy that's missed out to go and congratulate the guy that's come in and not be the other way around. And that's what being in a team, as far as I'm concerned, is all about. It happened to me a few times. You know, I'd been dropped from the Australian team as many times as anybody probably, but when I was always one of the first to get on the phone and congratulate the guy that was coming in.
Yeah.
You know, I knew if I looked after my game and got everything back in order, they'll be back in the team at some stage anyway. But that's where I think that responsibility lies, and that happens in all sports. You know, when you look at the Wallabies or teams like that travel around the world with big extended squads, there's always going to be someone that feels unlucky that they've missed out. But it's got to be up to that person then to go and congratulate his mate, not the other way around.
Yeah, I'm just going to
try and knock
down here. Let's see what we can do here.
Oh yeah, I'm going to give myself a little bit of room.
Here we go. Oh, through the keeper. So fast forward a year, and you're now the one-day captain for Australia.
Yep.
After, I guess, the press, you probably straddled through eras where there was not a great deal of press, probably in the early 90s, and then by sort of the early noughties, I guess, there was a lot. And different players get sort of targeted in different ways from the press. What was it like? So I remember when that happened, the whole country sort of all of a sudden were united behind you. You went on tour to South Africa. What was it like to be embraced as a leader by your country, just on that first occasion?
I'm not sure if I really took too much or paid too much attention to that. I mean, I knew I had a pretty tough job coming up, stepping in Steve Waugh's shoes, and I had a great side to take over and captain, but there's a lot of expectation that comes with that as well. So I think I was more focused on just what was happening around my group and with the players and the coaches and making sure that we were as well prepared as we could be for the next game we played. And externally for me, and I always thought of the media and to a certain degree the public. I mean, I never brushed the public or whatever, but you know, one thing I learned as a captain was that I couldn't keep everybody happy 100% of the time, and I had to make sure that the guys that were important to me, and that was my teammates and Cricket Australia, that I was doing the best to keep them happy. So it was always for me just looking at my teammates first and what they were doing and what they were going through, and then trying to find a way to worry about myself after that. But thankfully, we got off to a good start. My first series as captain in South Africa, we got off to a good start.
And similarly with Sri Lanka as a test captain.
And yeah, exactly the same. Yeah, we managed to, I think, we whitewashed that series, didn't we? First,
that's right. Won his comeback.
As captain of the test side. So yeah, lots of good things happened early, but a captain's only ever as good as the cattle he's got, and it's fair to say that I had some pretty good cattle back then.
Yeah, well, I've had my slips filled and dropped a couple of catches already, so that's no good. Look, Ricky, I'd like to thank you for coming in.
No,
and Ricky will be signing this test match ground. It's good of him to do it as a...
It's not easy to bat on this one either, I must admit. It's a bit happening this wicket. So.
Well, excuses will get you a long way, but that's fine. Anyway, Ricky, thanks for coming into Booktopia, and you can pick up a copy of Ponting at the close of play from www.booktopia.com.au.